Hello art friends and welcome to my channel. Fall is definitely in the air in Northern California, and I love the colors, the smells, the textures, and the beautiful grasses that are starting to turn golden brown as they move towards winter. So I thought I would use those colors as inspiration to do some cut paper collage. All right, so let's get started. So I grabbed some collage papers, and most of these I actually made because I pulled out all of my paints with fall colors, and all of these are done on opaque papers. Old book pages, regular copy paper. I had some old music sheets, and I did them on opaque paper because I want the colors to be flat and bright. So I grabbed my construction paper as well, and I bought a bunch of different varieties of the Tru-Ray because it's acid-free, and it's lightweight enough that it's easy to cut, and it sticks really well with the glue stick. And I found this beautiful shades of fall version, so I got a pack of all these beautiful sort of fall colors. So that's what I'm using for my base here. So what you need to do to prep for this is two things. Grab your collage papers and cut out some fall leaf shapes, or just any shapes. It doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want to do. You want to make these fairly large. You'll see most of these are kind of 2x2, 2x3. And you can scale this up or scale it down as you want as well. Then I grabbed some of the construction paper and I cut 2 4x6 pieces, and I just taped them together on the back. Because what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be making, I'm going to be pasting these on here, and then we're going to be cutting those up into squares so that we end up with something like this. So this one I did the other day. It's not necessarily leaves, although there is a leaf shape here. And then I also added some doodles, but I want to do a checkerboard. So I want to be able to cut these up into an even amount of squares. All right, so I'm just going to start laying some of these leaves out here. And you'll see I cut different shapes. I cut some slits in some. That one is the outside piece for that. I may not need both of those. I really liked this oak leaf, so I want to try to get that in there. And you're not going to worry about where it overlaps the cut. Just go ahead and get them on there in a pleasing arrangement. That looks more like a teardrop, but that's okay. And they can run off the edge as well. Everything, I really like this one, so let's get this one in there. I think I want to swap maybe some colors here. I don't know if dark brown will work on that. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I don't like the brown on the brown as much. So let's maybe split that one. We can maybe put this one down here. We'll put the brighter yellow one up here with this one. This will be the hardest part, just getting it all laid out. And then this one can maybe tuck in there. And again, you can run them off the edge. It's okay. Once we cut them all up, it's not really going to matter. Maybe I do a little corner there of that one. See, I've got this other little one. Maybe I can tuck him right in there. Okay, so this corner down here might be a little bare. Do I want to put this one here instead? Maybe I'll put that one there instead. And then if I need something in this corner, I can add this one. I also have this one, But this one I cut out of construction paper, so it's kind of flat. These all have pattern on them, which are much more interesting. Okay, so I think I'm going to go ahead and get these glued down. Now I find with construction paper, a glue stick actually works better than something like matte medium, because it sort of soaks into the paper, the matte medium, the construction paper. So it takes a little bit longer for it to get stuck and stay stuck down. Whereas with a glue stick, it sticks down right away and it's great. You just have to make sure you get enough glue stick on the back of it to ensure that it stays down. Now I'm going to flip this one around because this one's got like a little white peak on it, and that might look better on the darker black or darker brown paper. All right, let's get this one next. You can always take a snap a quick photo once you get the layout done if you have problems like remembering where things were, which I sometimes do. Maybe I want to flip this one this way. All right, I can make that one a little smaller and tuck it in there, I think. And you just want to make sure you just get these all glued down really well. I forgot how I put this one in there now. Okay, let's make this one a little smaller. So the way I cut these is I cut out like just a square piece of paper and I fold it in half. That way I ensure that I get a symmetrical cut. Now you don't have to do symmetrical leaves. I just liked the look of them, so that's why I did them that way. Maybe we'll do this one a little bit different with a, I might need to go, no, that's all right. All right, let's put some little, let's give it some character. I'm gonna put some little cuts in it if I can. These little scissors I just recently bought. They're like so awesome for doing these tiny little cuts. They are super sharp though. I have on occasion gotten my finger. Okay, so that's a little bit more interesting. All right, so let's get this one down. Now you can also buy patterned paper, like you can just buy packs of it, or sometimes the art stores carry the 12 by 12 booklets of just patterned paper, and a lot of times they'll have themes as well. So you might be able to find some fall colors. I just wanted to make mine with my own stuff that I had, just so it was a little bit more personalized. So now I'm debating on whether I want to put the big one here. It leaves a lot of open space there, so I think we'll do that one. All right, and then I'm going to, again, I think I will add a little bit of interest to this leaf. Give it a little bit of a hole in the middle. And that's just going to hang off the edge. In fact, I think I will cut that off right away, because I might be able to use that other piece in another spot. I have this corner here, but I have this yellow one with these little sort of dots on that I really like, so I'll try that, I think. I don't know if I want to overlap. All right, I think I do need to put it in this corner. It just will run off the edge the other way. So we'll do something like that. Now I could have put the brown one there, Maybe that's better, because this sort of fades into this color paper. So let's pull that one off. And maybe we can get it in here. All right, let's flip this around. Get some glue on there. There we go. These are fairly simple. That's why I thought they would be a good option. But obviously you could just do random shapes. It doesn't have to be leaf shapes. All right, I think I want to do one here and do one, and do part of that in the other corner down there. So I think I'm going to do this. Down there. See if I can get these in there. I don't know how I cut it off of there. That's funny. Okay, let's put this one in first. And then we'll just put this one in, and I'll trim it off. You also want to make sure you get all the way out to the edges if you're going to do the edges, because when we cut it apart, having like a weird little gap there will look a little funny. And then I'm just going to trim all of these on the back side. Okay, and then I need to get, I think I want to get a little bit of this in there. I don't remember how I put this on here. All right, maybe we'll do that and not go quite all the way into the corner. And then I'm just looking to see if there's any other big holes. Now the other thing we can add is I have a hole punch here. So I could grab some of my papers. Well, here's a little one that I cut out from that one. I think I'll put that inside of there. I like the red, and I only have one big red one there. So I think what I'm going to do is grab my red sheet and just make some dots. And see if I can balance out that red color a little bit. I'm going to try to put these sort of strategically in a few places. I could also do kind of like things in sets of 3. I could also do some of the other colors. Oh, here's one more. I'm not going to put any across this line because that's going to get cut, and then these will probably fall off. So all right, so here's one more brown one. So I'm going to start with this, and once we reassemble it, I can always come back and add more, because I'm probably going to end up doing some doodles on it as well. And then I just take a roller, and if you have a piece of palette paper handy, you can throw over the top of it and roller it down so it doesn't stick. And I just make sure everything's rollered down really well. Okay, so the next thing is I'm going to take this on my paper cutter, and because I did this in even 2 inches, I'm basically going to cut these into 2-inch squares, so there'll be 6 squares from each piece. All right, so this is what our goal is now that I have them cut apart. So I've cut them all into 2-inch squares, and then we're going to reassemble them into a new piece. So here's a couple that I did from the other day. These were some leftover pieces that I had, so I just put them here in my collage journal. And then I also did one where I just tore some of the papers that I had painted for the sort of autumn colored things, and just did more of a free form one. All right, so I'm going to grab a new page here. Now with these, the thing here is I alternated with the darker colors and then the lighter colors. So it's like a little checkerboard. Because we're going to be using, again, a square theme, so we're going to be doing 9. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to lay them all out. Before I trim them, I also checked all of the edges just to make sure they were glued down, and trimmed off any excess, or at least I thought I got all of the excess paper that was hanging over. So now I basically have 12. So I'm really only going to use 9, so I'll have 3 extra. So I have to decide, do I want my checkerboard to be more of the light squares or more of the brown squares, because there'll be 5 of one color and 4 of another color. I think I'm going to go light with this one, so I'm going to start with a light color, and this is really where you just have to kind of start putting stuff on there and moving things around until you get a composition that you like. I also try to, like, that one almost fits together. It didn't quite go together, and then it's interesting how that one sort of matched up. So you could try matching things if you want. I actually try not to. I kind of like things that are kind of not matched up. And you can move things around. You can turn them. To glue that one down. I also have these dots, which in retrospect now, I think I should have waited, because I may end up sort of piling those all up in the same location, which I don't really want to do. So let me see, let's grab another, maybe this one. Maybe that one goes that way. Got this really strong brown one. Maybe a little balance out the red down here a little bit. So now it's just a question of, you know, playing with these and deciding which ones you want to keep and which ones you want to not use. I think those 3 things together probably would be too much. I don't really have more of this yellow. I only have one little spot there. I don't like this sort of hump thing there. This is definitely a little bit more open. What if I did the yellow in there? I think that would be okay too. Don't like that one there. What if we swap out this one? It's got the same yellow color, but it's got this little hint of this brighter pop in it. This one may be too sort of too dark on its own. Yeah, it could go in the middle as more kind of the centerpiece. You could really literally sit and play for hours sort of moving these things around. It is so fun just to see like all the different sort of configurations. I do think I like that in the middle. I'm not sure I like that one over there with it though. So let's see what we can do. Although this does have a gap at the top, which seems to kind of make it match up a little bit. And I need a brown one down here. Okay, so those are probably too similar in, like they're just too big leaves shapes, so it's not very interesting. So sometimes when I'm doing this, I mean, it kind of looks like a mess. And after you keep doing this for a while, it's just like, you're just like, ah. So what I do sometimes is, one, step away and come back. Two, you can kind of squint at it and it gets rid of all the sort of middle values. So you can kind of see where your white areas are and where your dark areas are. And then you can make a decision on, does it look like it's, you know, distributed properly, and balanced with the light and dark areas and those different values and colors. So squinting sometimes helps. Put our reds back together. Since this is a fairly large red area, maybe having those two together makes more sense. Maybe I just need to rotate it so that color and that color are a little further away. Okay, and you'll see how I ended up with a tiny little piece over here. You could pull that off if you want. All right, so the next thing is to glue this down. Now, if you want to come back and do doodles on it like I did here, I generally, you know, made sure these were tight, aligned. And again, I cut these on my cutter, but it's really hard to get them exactly sized square. Or you could do it if you just like the layout and you're not going to do any additional stuff, or you're going to just do some things on each one individually. You could also separate them so that they're not actually touching, which also I think looks really, really nice. In fact, I may do that because I kind of like that. All right, so if you do this, then what you have to do is give yourself a right angle corner at the bottom to get started, just like you would tile a bathroom, right? You give yourself one tile and then everything kind of goes off of that. So that could be the middle tile or it could be some edges. I am going to take a quick snapshot of this so that I have it as a reference, and then we'll get these glued down. I just gave myself 2 right angles on my page to get me started. Now, when I do these, this is not perfectly square. It's like 8.5 by 8 and something. So the page isn't square. So what I generally do in that case is leave myself a little bit more room at the bottom. Just like you would frame a picture, generally you're going to mat the bottom of it with a little bit bigger mat. And that's just to give it some visual grounding. Obviously this isn't a mat, but I also sometimes like to make notes down here. So I just went up a little bit higher. You'll see it's probably a little closer to the top than it would be at the bottom. And then I just basically start in one corner and start getting stuff glued down. Now you could probably use gel medium for this with the construction paper, the thicker paste-like gel instead of the more liquidy gel. I have not tried it. I'm just going to continue to use the glue sticks. Now I did this so that I have about 1/8 of an inch in between. Now the other thing that I thought you could do with these would be really cool is if you make these little smaller squares, you could actually get like 5x7 cards and do like little holiday cards. Like you could do Christmas ornaments or I don't know, stars or bells or, you know, anything that's got a shape that you could cut out. And you could basically do the same thing, like just on a piece of 5x7 or whatever size, you know, greeting card you want. And then just glue it on a blank card. I may do some of those this year. A lot of times we'll do my own holiday cards, so we'll see if I have time. But this might be kind of neat. It would be different. You know, you do a Christmas scene with just cut out shapes and then sort of mix it up a little bit. All right, so let's do this one next. I gotta make sure I get all the way out to the edges with the glue. The reason I don't like to do that is, especially with the glue sticks, is you get these little blobs at the end there then, and then they just become kind of a mess when they squish out. This is the finished page with all the squares glued down, and I just sort of double checked all the corners to make sure that all of those have glue. And now I'm just going to give it just a quick glance over to see if there's anything I want to do to add to it. I had this little white corner here, which I think probably needs some dots in it. So I'm going to punch out, and I think I want to do some of these sort of rust colored ones. Just to bring some of that orange in. Because it's kind of a really big kind of white spot right there in the middle. And my eye just keeps getting drawn to that, so I know I need to do something there. Might work. Or, and it could just be this regular paper color maybe, without any color on it at all. So it sort of matches the background paper color. So that really kind of brings your focal point to that middle one, which I think is okay. I don't mind that that's sort of a focal point. Okay, so I'm actually going to call that done. And then I'm going to just make sure that everything's rollered down. So I'm going to grab my paper, pellet paper, and just make sure everything's rollered down really well. If you do butt them up to each other so there's no gap in the middle, you can also come back and add in, you know, some pen work, just some fun little marks or whatever you want to add. So I hope you guys give this a try. It's actually really fun to do and it doesn't take that long. Let me know in the comments if you think this is a fun project. I have some other similar projects I could do videos on, and if you'd like to see those too, let me know that as well. And I'll see you in the next video.